It isn't a bright yellow. It's a darkish.
No, it's
not quite gold, but it's
yellow.
Yeah.
It's not high vis, so it's a yellow I think you can wear again. But Ben, I'm no expert when it comes to colour palettes, despite having spent a large part of my time in Geelong working out what shade of pink a certain Melbourne Girls' School was wearing. But I'm definitely calling it yellow, and I think it's an excellent choice.
Well, much to the relief of everyone watching, we'll get back to the rowing, and I'll just run through the start list here. Repechage 1, under-23 women's single scull, so just the one repechage. First 4 to the semis, rest eliminated. From Toowong, Gabrielle Geldart in lane 1, Alex Field and Claire Raven, her coaches. Tanika Webb, coached by Stefano Belosso from WA Rowing Club in 2. We've got Adelaide Rowing Club in 3, Georgina Tager. Tasmania University in 4, Kate Oliver, coached by Sean Finlayson. Mersey's Lydia Tippett, coached by David Tippett, the Tasmanian in lane 5. Sydney Uni's Phoebe Teal in 6, coached by Alfie Young and Alan Bennett. And in 7, Tasmania University's Daisy Manning and Peter Volker. So we've got 3 Tasmanian crews, 1 New South Wales, 1 WA, a South Australian and a Queenslander in this field.
It's a great representation from the islands, and I'm pretty sure that Phoebe Teal, although rowing here for Sydney Uni, is a former Tasmanian. Well, in fact, he's still a Tasmanian. She's racing for Tasmania in the Interstate Regatta, I'm pretty sure, but rowing here now, having moved to Sydney for the Sydney University Boat Club, coached by Alfie Young and Alan Bennett. So great to see Tasmania has confirmed their name as the Tasmanian Devils, who, pending the small issue of a state election and another stadium controversy down there, will enter the AFL in a few years' time. So that will be great to see such a passionate Australian football state, but a great rowing state too, Tasmania. We mentioned yesterday about the history of lightweight rowing in Tasmania, and they've effectively got 4 representatives in this race on this grandstand side of the course. But the lead is with the non-Tasmanians, it looks like, as they come through the first 500 metres, and it was 3 scullers towards the southern side, Ben, in the top 3 spots.
And as you'd expect, first 500, not going to be too big a gap, so we're not going to read too much into that. But what you can read into is that 4.5 second gap back to 6. So that's going to be really hard to make up. But the tight gaps, well, anything could happen there, and we've got pretty tight distances from 1 through to 5. Phoebe Teal on the wrong side, you'd say, of the top 4. Kate Oliver is on that edge, and she had a 1.7 second advantage at the 500. But there is still, as you know, Rich, rowing a single over 2Ks, it is hard work. And there's
well, you
still
know better than me, Brad. You're still a real athlete. I'm sitting beside, firstly, Stuart for the last couple of hours. He's gone off to race. I know you're competing in the club double scull later in this regatta. So yes,
I'm happy it's a double and not a single.
The single would be another effort entirely. It's a special breed that make up the single scullers, certainly. We're almost at halfway now in this race, and it does look to be the South Australian Georgina Tager extending out her lead on Gabrielle Geldart of Toowong, and West Australian Rowing Club sculler Tanika Webb behind her, and then all the Tasmanians do follow. We should mention, while we're talking Tasmania, it was recently confirmed that next year's Australian Rowing Championship will take place at Lake Barrington, that wonderful course down there in the sort of the wilds of northern Tasmania. We went there in 2021 for the first Nationals in about 12 years, and back there again. Used to, we'll need some athletes. Barrington.
Well, we've got the Aussie Masters as well there this year, so should be, it's a wonderful time for Tassie rowing the next year. And they've got Kate Oliver here sitting nicely inside the top 4. She's actually moved away up to 3rd. We've got Tanika Webb, who was also inside that top 4. Tager and Geldart, though, looking much more comfortably placed at the moment. But the gap there is about 2 seconds, and that is at the halfway point. So a lot of time remaining here for Phoebe Teal to pull back the 2 and a bit seconds, or it's almost 3 seconds, I should say, to get herself into the semi-final of the under-23 women's single. Just have a look at the changes in this. So Tager's led from the first checkpoint at the 500 all the way through here. Geldart as well, 2nd at the 500, 2nd at the 1,000 time check, and then Kate Oliver moved from 4th to 3rd Tanika Webb from WA, 3rd to 4th. Phoebe Teal has stayed in 5th, but it's a manageable margin at this point, around 3 seconds. Just depends here on the third 500. Always so important.
And great conditions out there for these scullers too.
But aren't they? How good are the conditions?
Absolutely. And should remain that certainly throughout today and hopefully tomorrow as well. When's your first row over the course, Ben?
Thursday afternoon. I think it's meant to be the windiest part of the week. 5 o'clock on Thursday, usually. So we'll see. You never know. Weather's always, predictions are wrong, so you never know what it's going to be like. But,
predictions are just that, it seems. A great job with, snow. Bit like economic forecast, no real accountability to actually get it right in the end, but we'll leave that one alone. They've come through, or about to come through, 1,500 metres here, and our race is still being led comfortably by this sculler from the Adelaide Rowing Club in lane 3. Georgina Tager will go through with a lead of several boat lengths now. 6:00.89 her time, and moving up into second place now, it will be one of the many Tasmanians in this race. Kate Oliver for the Tasmania University Boat Club is coached by Sean Finlayson, would sit second now. Gabrielle Geldard third for the Toowong Rowing Club, and then fourth was Tanika Webb for the West Australian Rowing Club. So still those 3 scullers, or those 4 scullers in fact now, from the centre and across to the southern side of the course sit in the qualifying spots. Then it was Phoebe Teal of Sydney Uni ahead of Lydia Tippett from the Mersey Rowing Club in Devonport, the home port, of course, of the Spirit of Tasmania, or the Spirits of Tasmania. 2 ships, in fact, share the load there of the Bass Strait crossings. We'll need to know that for next year's Nationals, of course, as well. And then Daisy Manning of Tasmania University, currently in 7th place on lane 7.
So 4.5 seconds, Rich. Tough for Phoebe Teal to pull that one back and get herself into the semi-final. We've seen, I'm actually going to try and get the margins from last year in Perth, that one of the biggest fight backs we saw over 500 metres. So that's the challenge for her. She is in lane 6. So you can see here that margin, the key margin to keep an eye out for is Tanika Webb over in lane 2 from WA Rowing Club, Phoebe Teal from Sydney Uni. It was about 4.5 seconds, the gap between those two at the 500. And it is top 4 to the semi-final in this only repechage. So, and Kate Oliver, how good has she worked into this row? She was 4th at the 500, 3rd at the 1K, 2nd at the 1,500. So she's just moved nicely into this repechage. And she won't be that
far away from the lead by the end of the race either, Ben.
Yeah, she is moving very, very nicely, but Tager out in front, so Adelaide Rowing Club will get the first through to the semi-final.
Just a few strokes to go for our race leader there in the yellow boat. It is Georgina Tager of the Adelaide Rowing Club, who has led pretty much all the way through this race, still clear by about 1.5 lengths from Kate Oliver of Tasmania University. So the top 4 will go through to the semis, and Georgina Tager leads them through. Second place, Kate Oliver for Tasmania University. Third will be Gabrielle Geldard of Toowong over on lane 1, and then 2 lengths back to the West Australian Rowing Club, Tanika Webb. So they will be our qualifiers there. Just missing out is Phoebe Teal of Sydney Uni, who will row for Tasmania in the Victoria Cup race on Sunday as well, but she'll miss out as far as this event is concerned in 5th place. 6th will then be the Mersey sculler, Lydia Tippett, coached by David Tippett. And 7th place, the Red Boats of the Tasmania University Boat Club, Daisy Manning, will be across the line shortly to conclude race 126. 8:10.05 there, the unofficial time, and a win to Georgina Tager of the Adelaide Rowing Club. Just 1 repechage in that event, so we go on to the next event, the under-23 men's single scull, which has 2 repechages. First of those is well underway, in fact, into the third 500 now. Lane 3, Griffith University Surfers Paradise, Josh Weiss. Lane 4 from Sydney Uni, Hugo Hobbs. Lane 5 from the very local Penrith Rowing Club on the Nepean River, Bradley Moran. And lane 6 from Toowong, it is Ben Stockwell.
So we've got a couple of repechages in this under-23 men's single scull, and I can tell you that it has been the same placings throughout this race so far. So Murphy from Horsnell, Martin and Douglas, then McCluskey back in 5th. So just the top 2 here through to the semi-final. And this is going to be pretty tight, you'd think, because 5 in the race, 3 are going to miss out. It was 1.17 the gap from Roden Martin from Toowong over on the far side of the course from Horsnell from Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise, who is closer to the middle. The rower that you can see out in front is Murphy. That is Moss Murphy from Toowong Rowing Club. But it is going to be a real battle here for Martin and also Horsnell to see who goes through here. And look at it, it's 0.37. Roden Martin, who is third at the 1K, second at the 1500. Does he go on with it?
Well, yeah, soon find out. I think I gave you the wrong start list there too, but this is race 127, the first repechage of the men's single with 5 boats in the race. 3 from Toowong, 1 from North Esk in Tasmania, and 1 from Griffith University Surfers Paradise. So 4 Queensland boats here, and certainly Moss Murphy leading it as far as Toowong is concerned, with just 2 to go through to the semi-finals here, and the rest to be eliminated from the event. So Moss Murphy was leading it for Toowong, and Roden Martin in second place. So a Toowong Quinella looking quite likely here as they close in the last few strokes of this race. About 250 still to go. But the Toowong colours prominent here with scullers in lanes 2, 4 and 6. But Henry McCluskey is a fair way back in the field. Also in there in third place with Ben Horsnell of Griffith University Surfers Paradise and Neil Douglas from North Esk. But you can pencil in Moss Murphy of Toowong. I'm not so sure on second place, Ben, between Roden Martin and Ben Horsnell.
It's going to be fantastic, isn't it? And this is pretty impressive because Horsnell, second at the 501k, dropped back to third at the 1500. So you thought at that point, is Roden Martin going to row through him? Well, he's certainly not allowing that. This is going to be a cracking finish for the top 2 spots in this one. Oh, there's a problem here, and it's a problem for Roden Martin. What's happened there?
He's come to a stop, unfortunately. I'm not sure why, but he certainly now will not be able to make the top 2. So it becomes, in the end, a straightforward progression. Hopefully, Roden Martin's okay there. He's pretty much stopped rowing, and the third place sculler will come past him as well. But the win will go to lane 4 in any case. Moss Murphy of Toowong, who's been well clear for quite some time, and now comfortable in second place, just cruising home, is Ben Horsnell from Griffith University Surfers Paradise. Third will go to Neil Douglas of North Esk, and it looks like in fourth place we will have Henry McCluskey now from Toowong, who has gone past the stricken sculler from Toowong on the far side. Roden Martin, who's just moving very gingerly towards the finish line. So he looks like he'll be able to complete the race, but certainly will not qualify for the semis. It'll be Moss Murphy from Toowong and Ben Horsnell of Griffith University Surfers Paradise moving through from race 127. And Ben, I will leave you with it, and Owen Nix will come into the commentary box next.
Alrighty, so we're going to move on through here to repechage 2 in the under-23 men's single scull. Same story here, top 2 through, the bottom 2 eliminated. We've got Josh Weiss from Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise in 3, coached by Anthony Cook. In lane 4, Hugo Hobbs from Sydney Uni, coached by Donald McLaughlin. Bradley Moran from Penrith in 5, coached by Lindsay Callahan. And Toowong's Ben Stockwell in lane 6, coached by Mark Game. Owen, great to have your company. How are you going today?
Yeah, good, very well. Not as well as Hugo Hobbs in this one. He's a couple of lengths up though, over Josh Weiss and Bradley Moran and Ben Stockwell of Toowong, just starting to lose contact with them as they come through the 1,000-metre mark. So Hugo Hobbs from a rowing family. His father Ralph Hobbs, Tasmanian representative, and his sister India Hobbs, also rowing for City University Boat Club. He's coached by the great Don McLaughlin out of Sydney University, and he leads this one. Top 2 going through to the semis, and the remaining 2 scullers will be eliminated.
Tight, isn't it, for the second and third, though? That's going to be a bit of a duel. It's almost like first and last, pretty clear cut at the moment. Stockwell out the back, Hobbs well and truly in front, and then Weiss and Moran fighting out for that final spot in the semi-finals of the under-23 men's single.
Yeah, so we'll see how this transpires. They're just coming through 12.50 at the moment. And still you can see Hugo Hobbs to the right of screen, and he's enjoying being able to look straight back down the course and see his two rivals out of his peripheral vision, and quite comfortably, not having to crane his neck around and see where they are. They're right in view, and he's looking to control this race all the way down the course. So starting to make their way up to the 1400 metre mark.
Finals at Nationals, under 23 men's single scull, great achievement. And Hugo Hobbs is looking as though he's going to punch his ticket, but you never know what could happen. We saw what happened in the last race, so he's got to get through that last 500 metres. He's looking very smooth at the moment. What is the gap here? You can keep counting. It's quite substantial, and Bradley Moran has overtaken Josh Weiss. It was 0.25 he was down by at the 1K. Josh Weiss has now got to make up almost 3.5 seconds, so you just wonder whether he may be a little fatigued after earning that early advantage, or whether he's got something special in this back end. Ben Stockwell back in 4th place, so he's out of the running at the moment, you would say, for the repechage and going through to the semi-final. But still well and truly a race on the hands here for Bradley Moran and Josh Weiss for that last spot. But Moran does look to have opened up a bit of a margin here, and Hugo Hobbs is just going back through the gears here, just getting himself through this repechage and safely through to the semi-finals without expending too much energy. Still a lot of energy expended when you're rowing a single, Owen, so I'm not going to say it's easy, because it's certainly not, but easier than
it could otherwise be. He's
yes.
at 28 strokes a minute, so there's still, as Ben mentioned, plenty more gears in Hugo Hobbs, and he's not having to use them at the moment, still maintaining. Rowing club is coached by the evergreen Lindsay Callaghan. Lindsay in his 80s, and does a fantastic job, as he has done for many, many years. It was, I think it was about 25 years ago, Nepean Rowing Club had 8 members in the Australian junior team, where Lindsay had spent a large part of his rowing career. He's now at Penrith Rowing Club next door, and his sculler Bradley Moran looks like he's got the job done in the second half of this one. So top 2 through to the semi-finals, and it will be Hugo Hobbs of Sydney University Boat Club first, Bradley Moran, Penrith Rowing Club second. So those two will progress. And then we have Josh Weiss of Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise to place third, and Ben Stockwell of Toowong in 4th.
So the semi-finals of the under-23 men's single scull all sorted now. We're going to move on to the open women's single scull, and we have got a couple of repechages in this as well. We have got in lane 2, Janice Kelderman from Banks Rowing Club, coached by Eleanor Crute. We've got Joan Poe from Team Singapore in 3. Aisha Rafe in lane 4 from Sydney Uni, coached by Alan Bennett and Alfie Young. Then we've got Team Thailand in lane 5, Nantita Kranjangjam. And then in lane 6 from Mersey, Ella Marshall, coached by David Tippett. So top 2 to the A final. So it's not the semi-final, this is through to the A final, and the rest go to the B final.
And a very good race here between top 3 scullers in this one. It's Aisha Rafai that leads through that halfway mark ahead of the Team Thailand sculler Nantija Kranjangjam, and then Joan Poe from Team Singapore in 3rd. So as Ben mentioned, top 2 to the A final. Rest through to the B final. Kelderman Banks is next, and then we have the Mersey sculler Ella Marshall in 5th. So it's looking like 3 scullers here in the mix. And Aisha Rafai is the sculler that will be representing Singapore at the Asian qualifying regatta. I think they fly out next Thursday of next week. So this will be...
Where's that taking place?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, actually. But Aisha was the Singapore sculler at the 2016 Rio Olympics, and coached by Alan Bennett and Alfie Young, and continuing to fare very, very well. And right alongside her, Nantita Kranjangjam of Team Thailand. So those two fighting it out. Joan Poe still holding down 3rd position. as they make their way up towards 1,350 metres gone.
It would be fantastic to see an international crew in the Open Women's Single Scull Final. So just to go through yesterday, Sophie Reiner, Tara Rigney, Thompson and Khan, they're the 4 scullers through to the final already, and then we'll get the final 4 spots decided in these 2 repecharges. So will it be Kranjajam from Team Thailand, was in 2nd place. She's in lane 5. You can see her middle of the course there. Rafai still leading the way in 1st, but also Joan Poe is not going away without a fight either. So looks as though it could be a real battle right to the line here to decide the 2 spots in the A final. And moving up here certainly is Kranjajam, moving up on Rafai. So there you go, top 2. And they are very evenly matched at the moment. Kranjajam may just be pulling back some time here. It was a bigger gap than that. And she's just closing that in a little bit. Joan Poe in 3rd. That's really opened up now to about 5.5 seconds. So top 2 looking good. Kelderman back in 4th place. And then we've also got Ella Marshall from Mercy Rowing Club in 5th.
We'd have to think if Joan Poe's going to make a move, it has to be now, with around about 350 metres left to cover. 2.5 lengths down at the 1,500 metre mark, and that gap looks to be staying there. But we'll see what the Team Singapore sculler can do if she's to try and force her way into the A final. Rafai continues to hold sway, coming up towards the 1,750 metre mark. Still with about a boat length over the Team Thailand sculler.
You just wonder whether there's any ground just slightly being made up here by Kranjajam at this back end of the race. She does look to be pulling back a little bit by the naked eye, but could be deceiving us, you never know. And then Joan Poe back in 3rd. It looks too much to be made up here with about 150 metres to travel. Rafai just opening up here, making sure of this 1st place finish in the repecharge. And these 2 looking good now to punch their ticket through to the A final and the Open Women's Single Scull. So 4 spots already locked in. It's going to be 6 now. And it's going to be the sculler from Sydney University, Ayesha Rafai, coached by Alan Bennett and Alfie Young, who is the first through in the repecharge to that A final, joined by Nantita Kranjajam. So we are going to have an international flavour. Rafai and Kranjajam both going through to that A final. Joan Poe from Team Singapore misses out. So too will Kelderman from Banks and Ella Marshall from Mercy. 8:01.86 is that unofficial time.
Mersey sculler Ella Marshall coming up to conclude repecharge 1 of the Open Women's Single Scull Race 129. Now on screen we have repecharge number 2, and in this one we have in lane number 4, Louise Carr of Mercantile in 5, and Molly McCausland of Sydney University via New Norfolk Rowing Club in lane number 6.
And Pham TQ rode really well in the heat yesterday. She was actually in 2nd place for the first half of that heat, and then dropped back to 3rd in the last 1,000 metres. So probably no surprises here that she's out in front with a good advantage. And those top 2 scullers have opened up a good gap. Pham TQ and also Elizabeth Newell. So we could get another sculler from internationally to the final of the Open Women's Single Scull. As you said, Ayesha Rafai also, she's rowing for Sydney University, but has rowed for Singapore. So it's going to be a really great open women's single scull final coming up later in the week.
Yeah, of course, Tara Rigney and Rhea Thompson would be two of the favourites for that on Thursday morning, but plenty of racing to be done before those medals are decided. And in this one, they're coming up to about 1,300 metres covered. Elizabeth Newell's having a good third 500 metres, pushing Pham Thi Hue of Team Vietnam, and in doing so, they're moving away from Louise Carr and Molly McCausland, the two scullers on the northern side of the course, or grandstand side of the course, or bottom of the screen, depending on where in the world you're located. Coming up towards the 1,500 metre mark, still Team Vietnam. Pham Thi Hue, coached by Joe Donnelly in the blue boat, a Kinross Walleroy boat. Joe Donnelly, the founder of the program there when he was bursar at Kinross Walleroy School. And still just holding just over a boat length over Newell of the University of Queensland. And as you can see, as the scullers now just start to disappear to the right of screen, that margin starting to look a bit decisive now to Louise Carr of Mercantile from Melbourne, Victoria, and Sydney University's Molly McCausland in fourth position.
Yeah, 10.45 seconds, big gap. Really, there's a race in two. So the top two, Newell and Pham Thi Hue, they're just going to get themselves through this final part of the race, and they will book the final two spots in the Open Women's Single Scull Final, as Owen said, on Thursday morning. Can I say plenty of medals on Thursday as we get the first of the finals underway. Today, very much a repechage heat day as well. We've got a lot of races coming off the back of those heats on day one. And now with about 150 metres to travel now. The gap's certainly not closing between the top two and third and fourth. Maybe the gap closing between first and second. Pham Thi Hue, just have a look at what it was at the 1,500. It was about 3 seconds. Elizabeth Newell was behind. It certainly looks to have closed up a little bit since then. Elizabeth Newell putting a little bit of a spurt on here. And yesterday in the heats, just having a look, Elizabeth Newell, she actually finished in 5th place in her heat behind Pham Thi Hue and Krangdajam from Thailand. So it certainly shows that that second heat was the faster of the heats, because they're going to get Newell, Krangdajam, Pham Thi Hue all through here to the A final. So it will be Team Vietnam, Pham Thi Hue, coached by Joe Donnelly, through to the A final in the Women's Open Single, joined by Elizabeth Newell from Uni of Queensland. And it is going to be a little bit tight here. There's a push coming from Molly McCausland, but it's going to be Louise Carr who finishes third, McCausland fourth, and the unofficial time for Pham Thi Hue, 8 minutes flat and 85 milliseconds. So that's where we leave the Open Women's Single Scull. We are going to the Open Men's Single Scull, and we've got the first of 2 repechages on. We've got a couple going through to the semi-finals, the rest eliminated.
Yeah, so in this one, race 131, we have William Birchmore of Tamar Rowing Club in Tasmania in lane at number 2, Hamish Parry of Toowong in lane 3, Sam Green of UTS Haberfield in lane 4, Xavier Hall Sullivan of Corio Bay in lane number 5, Isaac Hamilton of the University of Western Australia in lane 6, and Kyle Fram of Easter Rowing Club in Singapore in lane number 7. So it's the Easter Rowing Club sculler Kyle Fram that leads on this side of the course through that 1,000 metre mark, and we're seeing at the centre of our screen the yellow boat of Sam Green of UTS Haberfield, of course from the Nudgee College era when John Bowes was there. Sam Green, he's featured in that 85-minute documentary that they had on YouTube. And
yeah, was it on KO as well? They put that on Fox as well, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was certainly syndicated well, and Sam Green was one of the stars of that Nudgee College crew, and he's been down at UTS Haberfield for a bit over a year now, and continuing to improve there under Sam Fennessy and Alex Wenyon. And Xavier Hall Sullivan also right there in the purple colours you can see in the white Felipe boat in lane number 5. So in this one, top 2 to the semi-finals and rest will be eliminated. So Fram of Easter Rowing Club Singapore leading, and we'll see between these two youngsters, Xavier Hall Sullivan and Sam Green, who can grab that second spot as they come up to the last 500 metres. Xavier Hall Sullivan was a couple of years ago in the Australian under-23 quad scull that finished 13th at the World Championships, the World Under-23 Championships, and he's there with battling with Sam Green, only about a boat length or so separating those two.
It looks to be a good finish on the way. Kyle Fram's got to be careful as well, doesn't he? He doesn't get pulled in here to the battle, because second and third are absolutely gunning for those top 2 spots to get themselves through to the semi-final. How often does it happen that all of a sudden you're sitting out in first thinking things are going along nicely, and because the rising tide, the rising speed seems to catch all boats, he's thinking, oh, I'm going to have to lift it as well, and that's certainly the case. You can see Kyle Fram, he's just had to have a little look across because he doesn't want to get swamped by the 2 in the middle of the course. So Hall Sullivan just ahead of Sam Green. It looks to be a bit more of a comfortable margin now. You can see Tamar's William Birchmore in 4th place. 5th place is Hamish Parry from Toowong. And then further back, Isaac Hamilton from the Uni of WA. But Hall Sullivan closing in here on 1st place because he's had to lift away from Green. He's putting Kyle Fram to the test here. It is the top 2 through, so they're both looking fairly comfortable now with 100 metres to travel. But Xavier Hall Sullivan, well, he's putting on a squirt, and he's really increased the rating. Looks to be just cutting a little bit of distance per stroke off as well. And he has flown past Kyle Fram. That's a really impressive finish. This from Xavier Hall Sullivan from Corio Bay Rowing Club. He has blown away from the other 2. Kyle Fram happy. He's got himself in a good position earlier, so he's going to go through in second. But it's Xavier Hall Sullivan who comes from 4th after the 500, 3rd at the 1K. He comes through in 1st now. Kyle Fram, who led throughout, he finishes 2nd. And then Sam Green from UTS just misses out. He will finish 3rd. William Birchmore in 4th. It's going to be Hamish Parry from Toowong in 5th. And finish coming here from Isaac Hamilton from the Uni of WA. Maybe he could close the gap and get 5th instead. It's a very nicely coloured boat, isn't it? Goes perfectly with the Uni of WA colours, and that's impressive.
There's a lot going on there. Yeah.
And he's putting in a good finish here, but I think it will be Hamish Parry from Toowong who's going to get 5th, and then Isaac Hamilton 6th from Uni of WA. Xavier Hall Sullivan's time 7:07.92, the unofficial time.
Yeah, he just kept finding gears, Xavier Hall Sullivan. He went up to 39, then up to 41 at the end. So that is
impressive,
moving.
Isn't it? 41. Wow, you're moving there.
Now another 2 people to go through to the semi-finals out of repechage number 2. It's race 132, and in lane 2 we have Isaac Cluley of Commercial. In lane 3 from Team Thailand is Premanut Watanusith. In lane 4 from North Esk, Dion Birtwhistle. In lane 5, North Esk, Jack Barrett. And in lane 6 from Mersey in Tasmania, Marcel Brown. So a field of 5, and it's having a good race going on between Team Thailand, Premanut Watanusith, and Jack Barrett, the giant of a man from North Esk. And starting to come through in 3rd now is the 43-year-old Dion Birtwhistle, the veteran of this field. He is there in 3rd spot. And winding back the clock a little bit, Isaac Cluley of Commercial in 4th, and Marcel Brown a long way back in 5th position.
Yeah, I know Dion Birtwhistle, he's rowing the club double as well. He's involved in the interstate regatta. I'm pretty sure he's in the Penrith Cup crew for 4. So, great combination there. In some in the club event for Commercial Rowing Club. So, getting themselves out on the water here early in the week and prepared for what is going to be a big week of racing here at Sydney International Regatta Centre. So, top 2 pretty comfortable at the moment. Watananussith and Barrett with a 9-second gap back to Dion Birtwistle in third place in this second repechage.
Yeah, Big Jack Barrett has started to push through in this third 500 metres. And looks like Birtwistle seeing if he can stay in some sort of striking distance, but I think his hopes of staying alive in this event are starting to disappear as these metres tick on by. Coming up through 1,500 metres, Jack Barrett in the lead, Watananussith of Team Thailand in second spot, and these two are where you want to be if you want to make it through to the semi-finals of the Open.
Yeah, Jack Barrett looks so comfortable, doesn't he, out there in first place, 5:29.39. And the Team Thailand sculler, Watananussith, in second. Look at this gap. So it was about 9 seconds at the 1K, 13.5 now. That is a long, long way back for Dion Birtwistle. Isaac Cluley also further back in fourth, and then Marcel Brown from Mersey. So 3 Tasmanians in this race. They'll get one through to the semi-finals in the Open men's single. And we have got 2 races left before the lunch break. We've got the PR3 men's single scull, couple of heats coming up after this, where we have one of our very own. Stuart John has been doing some commentary this week. He'll be involved in that. So looking forward to those couple of races coming up before we get a good lunch break through till 1 p.m. But here in the second repechage, the Open men's single, Jack Barrett and Preminut Watananussith. Look at this. They are loving life at the moment. Massive advantage. Able to cruise their way through to the semi-final.
Yeah, Barrett's there at just 26 strokes a minute. Watananussith, they're at 34 strokes a minute. And they've got pretty similar boat speeds as they head up towards the finish line.
Yeah, Watananussith is maybe closing the gap ever so slightly, but pretty impressive, isn't it? Jack Barrett, as you said, bigger rower, so that lower rating. His legs up and power through, and he'll stop before the finish line as well. Just cruises over, and he cruises through. Single scull. Watananussith in second place from Team Thailand, so top 2 through. Dion Birtwistle is going to finish in third place from North Esk. Fourth is Isaac Cluley from Commercial, and then Mersey's Marcel Brown finishes in 5th place. Now, Marcel Brown just coming up to the line now. Just going to go through that unofficial time, 7:25.25 for Jack Barrett, coached by Trevor Barrett. So that's going to wrap up the Open men's single repechages. We've got our semi-finals sorted in that event, and they're going to take place tomorrow. So PR3 men's single is next on the water. 11:35 the start for those races, or the first of those races. So that is going to be in a couple of minutes from now. So a little bit of a breather for the moment. In 5th.
Race 133 is the first heat of the PR3 men's single scull, and the field that we have is slightly different to what I've got, in fact. So we've got Michael Taylor in lane number 2 for Tasmania University Boat Club. In lane 3, Harrison Nichols of Hunter Valley Grammar School. In lane 4, Bodie Hebhart of Adelaide High. Lane 5 is a scratching Luke Taylor of Wendouree Ballarat Rowing Club. Community Rowing Club Sam Shalhoub is in lane 6, and Seth Swinney of Mercantile. Oh, that's moved around as well, so it's all changing here. Seth Swinney of Mercantile in lane 6 and Sam Shalhoub of Community in lane number 7. You'll see 3 umpires behind this race. The umpire of the race, and then we also have in umpires, boats, guides for, we have Community Rowing Club Sam Shalhoub, who is visually impaired, closest to us, who's on screen now, getting away. Community Rowing Club, a new club in New South Wales. They're based on the Lane Cove River out of the Macquarie University Boat Club shed, which is right near St Ignatius College. It's coached by Brian Guthrie. You can see him to the right of screen there. And we are underway, and it is sculler in lane 3, Harrison Nichols, that has gotten away very, very well indeed, along with Seth Swinney of Mercantile Rowing Club. Harrison Nichols, he's had a bit of illness lately, but he's bouncing back. He was the winner of the Interstate PR3 men's single last year, as we ride now with Seth Swinney of Mercantile Rowing Club in lane number 6.
He had a fantastic Nationals last year, didn't he, Harry Nichols? He was most impressive. As you said, PR3 men's single scull, won that event. He also took out the PR3 mixed double with Lisa Greisel from Lake Macquarie Rowing Club, and that interstate event as well. So took home a few medals from this event. And from that regatta last year, and he's looking good here. You can see him middle of screen there. Over in lane 2, Michael Taylor from Tasmania University, and then lane 4, Bodie Hebhart from Adelaide High. To the right of your picture here, it's a lovely view back down the course with the mountains in the background. It's a lovely view that you don't get to see often when you're rowing, unless you're doing some training out here rowing and you do get to row back the reverse way. It's quite a magical spot. As Seth Swinney ahead of Harrison Nichols here, remembering that it's the top 2 through to the A final, so you're just wondering whether Harrison Nichols is leaving a bit in reserve. As you said, he's been a little bit ill as well, so maybe that playing into this race. But as we know, here at Sydney, top 2 through, you get yourself through. Not too much concern about lanes with the weather this week. It's looking pretty nice from a wind front.
Yeah, the Mercantile Scull are faring very well. Harrison Nichols in second spot, and a great race going on between the scullers in lanes 2 and 4. You can see there on the left of screen, Michael Taylor of Tasmania University Boat Club, and to the right of screen is Bodie Hebhart of Adelaide High. Hebhart, coached by Joanne Malcolm, one of the luminous figures in South Australian rowing, and Peter Volker, long-time coach in Tasmania, coaching Michael Taylor, who's focusing on at the present moment this footage brought to you by the cameras on the umpires' boats, which was a great innovation from John Meekings of Ace Communications and MGM Productions, and he does a fantastic job in capturing all these different angles at the International Regatta Centre here in Sydney. So Seth Swinney continuing to extend his advantage as he heads up to 900 metres covered. And he's got good clear water over Harrison Nichols in second spot. And Bodie Hebhart in fourth, and Sam
Seth Swinney, 3:52.7. 10-second gap, so Harrison Nichols is in this first heat of the PR3 men's single scull. So the defending champion in second place in this heat. As you can see, very nice conditions, and I think the conditions actually get better as you come down the course, Owen, because you can probably see on that, from that camera angle, which is all the way from the start, there's a little bit of rougher. It's not even rough water, but
wind shadows, across the course.
That's probably the word. Some wind shadows, and then as you get further up, probably into the last 500, it is pretty glassy. So they're going to love that once they get into the last sort of 500 metres of this event.
And with 1,300 metres gone, the Mercantile sculler Seth Swinney continues to extend his advantage over Harrison Nichols. We're looking at Bodie Hebhart on screen, and we pan across now and see the race leader, Seth Swinney. And there's that all-important battle between the navy blue with the coloured bands of Hunter Valley Grammar School, and then the colours of Tasmania University over on the far side of the course in lane number 2. That's the battle there. We're going to have to try and qualify via in this event, leading comfortably through that 1,500 metre mark.
Neat time as well, 5:50.25 through there. And around sort of 1:57 pace at the moment per 500. Harrison Nichols just outside 6:05 through the 1,500. Michael Taylor in third. 8 seconds to catch up. It's a long, long way back with 500 metres to go. Water running out. But he's trying to push on here. The Tasmania University sculler. So it's a battle over on the far side of the course. That's the one to watch here. Good Seth Swinney has put some clear water between himself and the chasing pack. So fourth place, Bodie Hebhart from Adelaide High. And then Sam Shalhoub from Community Rowing Club, rounding out the 5 sculler field in this PR3 men's single scull first heat. And now Seth Swinney coming into this glassy-ish water. Not perfect glass, but you'd be happy with this around lunchtime on a Tuesday. It's very, very nice to row on, and Seth Swinney is going to be the first rower through to the PR3 men's single scull. Great race, hopefully, in that PR3 men's between him and the defending champion, Harrison Nichols, who is in second at the moment. Seth Swinney crosses in first. Harrison Nichols, the defending champion, second, but you just wonder whether he's just conserving a little bit of energy for that final, which is going to take place later in the week. So Hunter Valley Grammar are going to take the second spot in the A final. Nichols really just easing up here on the line. So he is through in second, and then it will be Michael Taylor from Tasmania University. Put in a really good effort in this heat. He's going to have to go through the repechage, and you'd expect he performs like he has in this heat, he's going to put himself in a great spot to get through to that A final. As Bodie Hebhart maybe just caught a little boy on the way through there. He's got himself through the course. He's also going through to the repechage. And then rounding out this field will be Sam Shaloub from Community Rowing Club in 5th place. So just confirming unofficially that time for Seth Swinney, 7:48.81.
Race 134 is the second heat of the PR3 men's single scull. Once again, top through to the A final, rest through to the repechage. Mac Russell of the University of Queensland is in lane number 2. Jed Altschwager of Torrens in lane 3. From Nestles in Warrnambool, Victoria is Aaron Skinner in 4. In lane 5 from the Australian National University Boat Club, Stuart John. And in lane 6 from Bundaberg in Queensland, Christian Lane Krebs. That's the field of 5, and the 2 favourites you're starting to look at on screen. That is Mac Russell of the University of Queensland and Jed Altschwager of Torrens Rowing Club. And those two have just started to move out a little bit as they start to make their way down the course and starting to shoot up towards the first 500 metres in this one. And Mac Russell's giving a good red hot crack over on the far side of the course in lane number 2, and he's stolen a bit of an advantage, stolen a boat length on Jed Altschwager of Torrens Rowing Club. So these two have started to push out quite a bit.
It's a massive advantage, isn't it? 1 and 2. Aaron Skinner in 3rd. 4th place will be Christian Lane Krebs. And then in 5th place, Stuart John. So just having a look at last year, PR3 men's single scull, Mac Russell finished with the silver behind Harrison Nichols. Skinner finished 4th in that final. Jed Altschwager was actually scratched. I believe he may have been a bit sick for that one, but he came back and rode the Interstate men's PR3 single scull, and he finished with the silver. Mac Russell the bronze in that race. So this is going to be a terrific final, this PR3 men's single scull. There is so much depth in this race, and I'm really excited about it. You think about Harrison Nichols, we've got Seth Swinney already through, who wasn't in this event last year. Russell, Altschwager, plenty of talent, plenty of depth. So it shapes as a really intriguing one.
Yeah, and we're just having a look at Christian Lane Krebs of Bundaberg Rowing Club. And now we start to pan back to that leading battle, and Mac Russell, he looks to have switched boats once again. I think he was in an Empacker last time I saw him, or last time I was in the commentary boat. Looks like he's in a Felipe now, and Jed Altschwager just starting to move up on him as they start to head up towards the, they're about passing the 900 metre mark at the moment. So Altschwager just starting to put his bow in front as they come up towards the 1,000 metre mark. So a good race between these two.
So what do you think here, Owen? Are you thinking psychological edge here? Because of course heats, you don't win the final in a heat. They're literally neck and neck. To one of them, when do you try and take your ego out of it? Because it's tough when you got someone right next to you and you're a competitive person. It's quite tough to switch that off, even in a heat. You might think it's when you're sitting up here and it's all cool and relaxed, you think, oh, just switch off. But when you're out there, it's much more difficult.
No, that's right. These are people that in training pieces don't sure once they're lined up with relinquish anything to any competitor and give them any. So Aaron Skinner still Bundaberg in 4th, Stuart John of the Australian National University Boat Club in 5th position.
It's a little bit of a tailwind, that section of the course. Would you say, Owen? Slight?
Yeah, very faint.
Slight.
Yeah, flags at the finish are relatively limp, but a little bit of assistance up there. And it looks like it's been a bit of a push here in this third 500 from Mac Russell of the University of Queensland, coached by Michael Russell and also coached by his former doubles partner Morgan Hodgson. looks to have pushed back on Jed Olschwager in this third 500 metres. Neither look to be at their absolute limit. They look to be cruising along here, and I think they realise that qualification is looking pretty well assured as they make their way up towards the 1,500 metre mark.
Maybe they just had an agreement for the first 1,000, we'll go for it, and then after that just ease it off. There's Aaron Skinner from Nestles Rowing Club out of Victoria. And I mentioned before, he was also in the interstate race last year. He finished 5th in the interstate. In the open event, he finished in 4th. And that's mainly because Jed Olschwager came in, so pushed everyone down except Harrison Nichols. And in that mixed double, so Mac Russell finished with the bronze in that event. Christian Lane Krebs in 6th. Jed Olschwager was scratched from that one as well. So plenty to be excited about if you're Jed Olschwager this. Keep healthy, and he's going to. Mac Russell though at the 1,500, 5:49.77. Jed Olschwager in 2nd, just 3 seconds further back. Aaron Skinner in 3rd. Christian Lane Krebs in 4th. Stuart John in 5th place.
There's a fair bit of foxing going on over on the far side of the course. Mac Russell was jacking the rate up to 37, and then he's dropping it down to 26. And yeah, there's plenty going on. So we're seeing glimpses of the Mac attack that we'll see in the final, no doubt. And Jed Olschwager seems relatively unconcerned about what's going on his stroke side, and just worried about getting the qualification job done.
What's he dropped down to now, Mac Russell? It looks like he's really eased it off.
Yeah, he's definitely cruising there in lane number 2, 21 at the moment. So
well, he's almost going to get down to 18, maybe. Look at him go here. He's enjoying the back end of this race on some beautiful water here in Sydney. So that'll be Mac Russell.
See his father over there on the e-scooter following this race, Michael Russell. And we're going to see Mac Russell come across the line and take out the final race before the luncheon break. Race 134, the second heat of the PR3 men's single scull. Jed Olschwager will join him in a direct path through to the A final. And it will be a repechage for the others, being led home by Nestles Rowing Club Aaron Skinner, coached by David Skinner. Christian Lane Krebs of Bundaberg is in 4th position, the Alan Goff coached sculler. And then the Will Hatcher coached Stuart John of the Australian National University Boat Club is in 5th position. So less than 140 metres for all of these scullers to complete. And Aaron Skinner has just a handful of strokes to go, and he will cross in 3rd position, ahead of Lane Krebs of Bundaberg in 4th, and John from the ACT, Australian National University Boat Club.
And these two combined for the PR3 men's coxless pair title last year. Stuart John and Christian Lane Krebs, they won that race in WA, and they're crossing pretty closely next to each other here. So Christian Lane Krebs 4th, Stuart John 5th. That unofficial time for Mac Russell 7:57.46, but you do not want to miss that later in the week. PR3 men's single scull, Russell, Olschwager, Nichols, Swinney, heavyweights in that PR3 men's event. We're going to get some great racing in that. All right, time for the lunch break. Owen, thanks for your company over the last hour or so. We're going to be back with racing from 1 p.m, but I'm pretty sure that enjoy the here in Sydney in 2024. Rowing Australia's National Integrity Framework has been adopted to mitigate integrity threats to rowing in Australia in relation to member protection, child safeguarding, competition manipulation and improper drug use. Rowing Australia is committed to ensuring a safe, fair and trustworthy environment for all participants at all levels and disciplines of rowing. At this year's ARC, we will once again be having a learn and load session hosted by Olympic silver medalist and 776 BC co-founder Cameron Mackenzie McHarg. Register for the Learn and Carbo Load session on Wednesday the 20th of March from 5:30 to 7 p.m, where you can learn from Australia's top performance staff and athletes while you load with a pasta dinner. This will be a great opportunity for all kids, coaches and parents involved with rowing to hear firsthand how they can excel in their rowing career and maybe one day become one of our NTC athletes as well. This will be a great opportunity to ask top performance staff and athletes any questions you may have. Spaces are limited, so visit arc.rowingaustralia.com.au to register now. Join us for an inspiring Women in Sport breakfast on Thursday, the 21st of March from 8 to 9:30 a.m. at the ARC, where we celebrate the incredible achievements of women in sport. This event is an opportunity to hear from some of the most inspiring, driven and passionate women in the rowing industry, share experiences and learn from each other. Guest speakers include Sarah Cook, the CEO of Rowing Australia and Olympian, Heather Garriock, a former Matilda and CEO of Game Face Pro, Nikki Ayres, Australian Paralympic rower and world champion, Susie Balla, Olympic and Commonwealth gold medalist in shooting, and Alexandra Viney, Australian Paralympic rower. These trailblazers will share their inspirational journeys and challenges in the world of sports, and you'll also have the chance to network with other women in the rowing and sports industry and enjoy a delicious breakfast and leave feeling motivated and empowered. Do not miss the chance to be part of a community that supports and uplifts women in sport. For more information and to register for this free event, visit arc.rowingaustralia.com.au. Using the RP3 dynamic rowing machine gives you the most realistic on-water feeling you can get on land. This true rowing experience, rowing on the RP3, will improve your fitness and technique through its unique design. If you can get on the water, do it. If you can't, this is the machine for you, and it's proudly distributed in Australia by Bont Rowing. Founded by Sean P. Colgan, the Colgan Foundation has supported athletes, students, scientists, mentors, Catholic clergy, war veterans and others in need since 1995. The philanthropic reach of the foundation extends across many nations, from Philadelphia high schoolers to children in El Salvador to rowers from the Antipodes to active military and undisclosed international locations. The efforts of the Colgan Foundation make an impact around the world. Rowing Australia is pleased to be a partner with the Colgan Foundation in developing our national 8-oared cruise for 2028.
Welcome to Sydney. Upbeat, downbeat. Feel its heartbeat. Open arms. Open all night. Come feel it all. And feel